To grow, we need to be ready to adapt and change. So, some more good news is now Be the Good. Same positive vibes, just a name all my own. Be the Good is all about people doing good in the world while following their passions. Good for their own souls and for others. I'm Kate Chericello, and welcome to today's episode. Let's spread a little more goodness in the world.
I am absolutely delighted that I have Shelley Brown, the Executive Director of the State Theater in Easton, Pennsylvania, here today. And I know Shelley through the Freddy Awards. I was a freshman in high school the first year that they were started. And the Freddy Awards is an annual celebration of accomplishments in high school theater throughout the region. It is now Emmy Award winning and continues to this day. And the state has brought so much positive attention to the arts in the community, from the Freddys as well as through their year-round programming, spreading lots of good. So Shelley, I can't thank you enough for being here.
Thanks for having me, Kate. It's wonderful always to see you. I feel like I've known you since, well, you've always been poised and beautiful, but forever. No, you're forever.
Well, thank you. I know it's crazy how long it's been. I can't get over. And I saw today too that the Freddys have now surpassed it a couple years ago, the $1 million mark in giving away scholarships.
2 million.
You're at 2 now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, one of the scholarships that we've been giving is a full 4-year ride. I mean, the whole thing, $95,000. And I think there have been 4 or 5 of those already. So at West Virginia. So in their theater program. Yes, fantastic. Not only a performance scholarship, but also a technical theater scholarship, which thrills us to death. So, it grows and grows. And it's been very frustrating the last 2 years because obviously with the problems of in schools, we haven't been able to do a traditional show. So I'm hoping, because this year's the big 20th, as you said. So.
Oh my gosh.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, fingers
already
crossed.
There. Well, Shelley, I know I'm getting ahead because I'm so excited to talk to you, but just tell us who you are and what you do in your own words.
I am Shelley Brown. I am I run the State Theater Center for the Arts. Before that, I was a television producer and television on-air talent and documentary producer and show producer. And so those are the two real job passions, if you will, that I've had. I've had 2 incredible jobs. And the great part about the Freddy Awards is that I got to blend something that I thought I had really left behind, television, with theater. And one of the reasons that our show is really the only one in the country. There are a lot of high school musical theater programs, but one of the reasons that ours evolved the way it did is because I was a television producer, and I couldn't imagine doing, having this great final celebratory, night with its not being able to be seen by more people than just 1,500 people who were in the theater. And I was like, we can do it as a TV show, a live TV show. And which proved to be very, very difficult, which is, I think, why there aren't more. It's very difficult to layer a live show on top of a theatrical show. And the reason why, when it's done on television, it has, a $20 million budget. I mean, because it's so hard to do. But it's been something that's been a labor of love all these years and has grown into a real community fixture and means a lot to young people and has changed a lot of people's lives. So it's really a passion. And that's who I really am. I mean, those are the 2 things that I've done that I am proudest of and enjoy the most.
Fantastic. Shelley, we'll dive more in about the state too and the Freddys, because it's such an event. So exciting. Shelley, you mentioned your background in TV and getting to the state. Can you tell us a little more about your path to where you are now?
Well, let's see. When I got out of college, my first job was you probably don't know this, was a juvenile probation officer.
I definitely did not know that.
I graduated a semester early. I was going to go to law school. I started out as an acting major, and that lasted in college, and that lasted about a week because I have no performance talent whatsoever and was in school with all these incredibly talented types like you. And I was like, no, this is not the right place for me. So but anyway, so I was one of those people who had a semester, ended up doing a job of a probation officer. And I also had adults in my caseload as well. But what that did, it's interesting how as you go through your path, and you're probably noticing this too, is that everything you do, whether you think it matters at the time or whether you think it's going to have anything, you're going to learn anything from it. You learn from everything. And one of my jobs was to make recommendations about people when they had been adjudicated guilty. One of my jobs was to learn everything that you could learn about them and make a recommendation to the judge of what their sentence should be. So that was really how I started interviewing people. I had carte blanche to talk to anybody. I would talk to the perpetrator, obviously, but I would talk to mothers, fathers, spouses, friends, anybody, and get this picture of who this person was and why this person did what this person did. It was the ultimate find the backstory, and then I would, make the recommendation to the judge. And the judge and I got to be really good friends, and he always took my recommendations. And I did that for about 3 years. And then I left that. And then I had a baby. And I left that part of my life, but I loved the interviewing. I loved the stories. And then after I had my first child at the time that Lamaze childbirth was very popular and new. And I went through the Lamaze program, and it wasn't all moonlight and roses. I thought it was a lot more complicated. You kind of went in and thought, well, if I just go, it'll be fine. So I went to the local public television station. I made an appointment, and I said, I think you guys should do a show about Lamaze childbirth. And I watched public television. I love public television. I've never seen a show about Lamaze childbirth, and I think you should do a show about that. It's just a thought, I met with the program director, and he said, thank you very much. Goodbye, goodbye. And then about a week later, he called me and he said, we're going to start doing these things called pledge drives on public television between the shows. And he said, and we don't really have anybody to do that. And he said, do you think you could do that? We're going to go on between the shows. It's a volunteer thing. We need you to go on and just say why you should give money to the public television station. And do you think you could do that? And I thought, well, yeah, I guess, so I started doing that. And I did that for 20 years, and then picked up more and more responsibilities along the way and started doing more shows. I would host shows. I had, I don't know what the format, like Oprah type formats. I would do shows, medical shows. I would do all kinds of different shows, always questioning, interviewing, and learning about people. The first real documentary I ever did was with Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, who had a profound effect upon my life. He was wonderful to me and just treated me. We just got along beautifully and stayed in touch for years and years and years. Whenever he would come to the area, I would always see him. And he was great. And then I did more things like that and more things like that. And then many, many years later, that's what I was doing when the State Theater came to me and said, do you think you could run a theater? Because we're going to go under. Do you think you could do it? And I said, I've never run a theater. I don't know how to run a theater. And they said, well, we need somebody. Would you give it a try? Because otherwise we're going to close. Wow. So I figured I can't really screw it up that badly. I mean, if it goes, nobody's going to blame me, So I was ready for a change. And I had done TV shows about the State Theater, but I had never run a theater. But the rest is history. I learned the hard way, and everybody was great to me, and the community was very supportive. And I learned, but so many, and then 10 years into that was when I found out about this, that other theaters did these high school musical things. And I thought, well, it should be a TV show. It should just be a TV show. That's what it should be. And so the two, and I knew how to do that. And so, it all just kind of that's the one thing, as I just said to you, you think when you're doing something sometimes like, what a total waste of time this is. I don't like this. I'm not learning anything from it. You learn from everything. You learn how to do things. And more importantly, you learn sometimes what not to do. The mistakes, making mistakes firsthand is the best education there is. People can tell you till they're blue in the face, which all parents do, what you shouldn't do. But until you really experience things yourself and say, oh, that's how you learn. So that's the story. It's kind of a
I love that. What? So there is so much there. It's something that's been so neat about these interviews with the people that I already knew, because it's been a mix of people I haven't met, and I know I'm always learning things about the person that I never knew. Like I had no idea about that whole path starting in the juvenile detention. Like that's fascinating. And you're right. That's such an important note, that every aspect of the adventure of life plays into everything else. And you can always learn, and they can always feed one another.
And it doesn't seem like it when you're young. It really doesn't. You think, oh, I just want to get this going. I know what I want. I know, even if you don't know what you want, you think, well, I would never do that job, or I would never, and everything just becomes part of learning. And it also, I think, you either have curiosity or you don't. And, in the world of TV or the world of theater and the world in general, if you're really curious and you're curious about people and you're interested in people and what makes them tick, it really helps a lot, because you look at things from a different perspective, not just your own. The other directors who had been in charge of the State Theater, and there had been three. And they had brought what they thought was they were going to teach the community what art was, what theater was, and bring in the finest of dance, the person who preceded me, symphony and dance and all those kinds of things, because that's what they were skilled in, and far more skilled than I. I mean, I had never booked a show or anything. I mean, TV, yeah, but not a theater show. I mean, and I certainly have no fine arts training. And so they did, and they would present all this stuff and people didn't come to see it. Everything lost money because you can't define, if you can't make people come see something they aren't interested in. And so, it doesn't really matter that much to me what actually is on the stage of a show, because but if a house full of people has come to see it, that's what they want. That's what entertains them. I can't book, for example, only things I like. We'd go out of business. I mean, and I mean, you have to listen and see what people want. It's any kind of, marketing or sales. It's like that. You can't force it on people. And there had been just decades of trying to present things that people didn't have that much interest in seeing. And so a lot of people turned their noses up when I got there, because I booked things that no one had ever booked that were really like circus acts, literally. And people would be like, oh, well, guess what? The theater was full. And it was very entertaining and joyful to people that wanted to see it. We still do wonderful productions, that are fine arts and that are a lot of Broadway and things that, but like opera, we tried every way to Sunday to sell opera. Everybody said they wanted opera, but people don't come and support the opera. And the real opera buffs say, well, I go to New York.
Oh, you're just close enough. Yeah.
And so, and I'll say, but this is a wonderful opera company and it's right here, right in your,
yeah.
So you have to listen to people and maybe try to describe something in an appealing way and make it sound interesting. But if you can't do that and they don't come, then that's not working, And when I first got there, I said, what we're going to do at first is just book things that we know we can where we can guess, we can fill the house, real pop entertainment. And then we'll work our way, up. We still do that. We still do that because that's what people want to see. They want to feel good. They want to come and have a great night. They want to, especially, well, I hope when we start up again, especially when times are tough, people want to feel good. They want to feel better. They want to feel joyful or inspired. And even a tragedy can be inspiring in its performance and its, the music or whatever. But I don't think you're successful if you don't listen to other people, what they want. How many businesses have you gone into where you think, oh my God, this business was such a great idea, and this dope who's behind the counter couldn't care less and is,
so many.
Yeah. And you think, boy, this is a shame because it's a great product, but nobody in the store cares, and that kind of thing. So again, all those paths just led me to be there. I don't think, this is a terrible thing to say. I don't think that artists are necessarily the best people to run businesses either. Yeah. They're they're talent. They're other brained, they're not as adept at selling it and pitching it because they know it's a gift and they know it's wonderful and they don't really know how to well, of course you want to come see this. Why wouldn't you want to come see this? And there's a lot of people that are like that with their venues, and so it's a people business.
Yeah. And being well-rounded, you're so well-rounded by the time you got to the State Theater that you were ready for all those various aspects.
Well, and everybody knew in the whole theater world, because it's a very small world, that the State Theater had this woman there that knew nothing.
Interesting.
I had a cheat me sign on, it was like, ooh, we got somebody there who doesn't know anything. So I made a lot of mistakes, but that's the other thing, you got to give yourself permission sometimes to learn that, not to try to pretend to be the world's biggest expert because nobody is. No. And especially now, who the heck? I mean, I was on television when there were 4 channels, now, it's just crazy. The world has changed so fast.
It is absolutely. And what you said about artists, I tell any person who hasn't graduated yet, who asks me about being a performer in New York, I say, get the business classes. You can be so talented, but if you're going broke while you're trying to make it, there's no life for you there. So it's so important to have that base of just being, like you said, a people person and in the world, being aware of more than just that one track.
Yes, absolutely. And that applies to any business, but yes, you're right.
For sure. So Shelley, you mentioned a little bit here and there about the last year and a half plus with the pandemic. How has that changed for you, other than the obvious of the state being closed for a good time? But I know that you still got the Freddies in and you made it happen. So I'd love to hear a little bit about that.
We tried. Yeah. It wasn't what it is,
But I was so impressed with what you did.
Well, thank you. But, what's best about it is when you get everybody together, which of course, you couldn't do. But surprisingly, the pandemic's been terrible. Business stopped. We're closed. But surprisingly, the gift of it was that the community kind of went, holy cow, do we ever need the State Theater? And we want to make sure that the State Theater is going to come back. So people have been amazingly supportive of us. Donating money, continuing to be members, just saying we're waiting for you to reopen. No negativity. And in today's world, when pretty much anything can foster negativity, the comments and things online and things like that, nothing, just all positive. When are you coming back? We want you to come back. So everybody's eagerly awaiting the reopening, as are we, but we don't know what to expect in many ways. We don't know how comfortable people are going to be inside. They're clearly happy to be outside. They're partying like crazy people. But indoors is another story. And, a lot can happen in the next few weeks. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be a different sort of adventure, but, and I'm not expecting full houses in the beginning. We have to learn from this, how to do this and start again. The first few shows are going to be general admission with a limit of 500 seats so we can get a feel, walk before we run and do that kind of thing. So it's an experiment, but never did I think in the time we were closed that we were not going to survive, because it was obvious that people wanted the theater to live. And so far, so good.
Wonderful. And to people, like if anyone's listening from the Easton area or just far enough that maybe you haven't been to Easton, the whole town really has become such a community, and Lehigh Valley as a whole. But I love seeing such a plethora of restaurants now, and there's bookstores and coffee shops, and you can walk along the river. It's a great place to spend a whole evening. So once the state opens, you can just make a whole weekend, day, evening out of it.
And a ton of apartments now since you've
yes.
Lots and lots of apartments, no availability. There's another beautiful project going in along the river, a great big, apartments and retail and offices, and kind of a gateway from New Jersey because Easton's only, as you know, about 45 minutes, less than an hour from the tunnel.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in Easton work in New York, and,
yes.
So there's a lot, it's an easy place to get to, but Easton's a super cool town. It always was, but it got way cooler about 3 or 4 years ago when developers started developing all these buildings and making these parks and everything. It's really changing.
I'm completely fascinated by it. Yes, in a good way, in such a great way. Yeah. Well, Shelley, speaking of good things and good news, what examples would you like to share of people you've worked with or in your own life of positive effects of what the state or the Freddys have had on people? I can give 10 examples just because I've lived through being a part of the Freddys and you, but I'd love to hear a story or two.
Well, I think people who come to shows very oftentimes will just talk to me after or write a note afterward about what the show meant to them, or, and how, and people's stories, their backstory. Because not everybody's there to celebrate or to just enjoy an evening. A lot of people are there to remember someone or to escape sadness or illness, and it can be the most meaningful thing. And a small kindness, oftentimes people will ask us if they can meet the artist, which isn't generally under our control. We can ask, but, and you get a lot of personal requests about things, and it can be like kind of annoying sometimes. It really can. And you forget that everybody's got a story. Not everybody is just wanting an autograph they can sell on eBay. Sometimes it's because they'll bring a picture of their father or their mother with the person. And, we had a family that was coming to see a show, and right before the show, the father died. And the family came, and I just thought, I hope they don't mind this, but I mentioned them, in my curtain speech, that they were there and that I knew their father was there in spirit. And, that it was a small thing. It was nothing, but it meant the world to them. And that's the thing about all those stories, all those people and all those, people who bring their child to something. And if you take a moment and talk to the child or take a picture, and they never forget that. So many children see their first show and are inspired by it, and some of them never forget it. And they go. One of my board members brought his 3-year-old granddaughter to Peter Pan decades ago, and she ended up going into theater, and it was because it's the first time she ever saw a show. She never forgot it. The Freddys, the best example is really just that when we started it, my vision was that it would increase people's enthusiasm for local high school theater. But what it really turned into was something very different. And I think you know this better than anybody. It really turned into a community of people that, in some cases, I mean, you were a star when you came to the Freddys. You were a lead role person and you could sing and dance. But there's a lot of students that are in the show that don't have any other thing that they're part of in high school. And a lot of people would never have thought to come out for it, but for the Freddys, just to be part of it. And then they're instantly in a peer group, that maybe they weren't in scholarship or they weren't in athletics or they weren't, but they're part of the show and part of that whether they're, running sound or a chorus person or whatever. I mean, they're never going to go into theater, but they're bonded to all these other students who are in this peer group now, that they're close. And there's this really great community that's been formed. I mean, one of the best things that's happened to me in this pandemic was I got a call from 2 guys that were in the Freddys and know you.
Yep. He sent me the link. I saw the interview. I'll have to post it in here. I loved that.
I mean, just to be connected and to be, to have those connections. Social media helped that. I say a lot of negative things about social media, but the positive of social media is how connected the kids are and stay. And remember, it is such a happy time and such a happy night. And in the beginning, you would remember this because you were in the first year, the beginning of the Freddys. There was criticism about when I wanted to do it, that it's a contest and you're going to pit these kids against each other and it's just competition. It's not it has turned into a celebration that yes, there are awards, but when you're there, it's almost forgotten the joy that everybody's feeling being together and celebrating the same experience and the same. And yeah, there are awards, but it's a celebration of everybody. And we try really hard and have kept to the mantra. My mantra with it has always been every decision that's made is what's best for the kids. What is best for the kids? And we stuck to that. And I think it's mattered because, if people want to, a sponsor wants to put product on the kid, things like that. We try not to do that. And yes, people are nominated and they have their moment and people receive the award and that's great. But the celebration is for everybody. And it's about excellence. And we've stuck to that too. And look what happened. Things got a lot more excellent all the way around.
Yes. It kept growing and growing and getting better, not better and better, bigger and bigger. And yes.
Well, and it's hard. It's hard work to be excellent. It's really hard. And, to go to a celebration of shows. And I sit a lot of the times at the rehearsals behind kids who are watching other kids perform. And they make me laugh because they'll look at each other and they'll go, that was really good. Like when they watch another school's performance, and sometimes they'll say things like, oh, wow, that was so much better than what we did, and no, I mean, it's adorable because it's hard work to be really, really, really good. And not everybody wants to do that or can do that. And so it isn't just stand up and sing a song and get the award. It's about the work. And I always say to the kids that are in the opening number, although I probably didn't the first year because we were all just flying blind, but I say to them now, we could have put you out here and just sing a song, but that's not what this is about. You're going to get a hand at the end of this number, that a rousing standing ovation that you will never forget. And you'll know how hard you worked to get there. It was hard, really hard, but it was worth it. And, that's a lesson in itself that a lot of people never learn in their life. They just look at other people and go, oh, they had it easy, or, they don't understand, as a performer, the performers that come to our theater and they come and they do a show, they've been working for decades and decades and they rehearse and they never stop. That's how they got that good and how they stay that good. There's so many people with talent, but the ones that work hard. Some people are lucky, but all in all, it's hard work. Hard work and a lot of sore muscles and sore throats, and, but it's hard. It doesn't come easy. And I think no matter what field the kids go into, they will know, at least, from this experience, that it wasn't just a gimme. It was hard, but it was great.
Yes. And that's something you just said no matter what field they go into.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that's so special about theater in general, but to speak specifically about the Freddys, is that opening number group. Is it still four students from every school get sent to do the opening number, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And most of them are never going to go into theater.
Yes, exactly.
No.
But they are giving up their free time from high school to rehearse for multiple days over multiple weeks, spending hours and hours at the state.
Yep.
I did it too. I never felt like it was work. Were we working hard? Oh yeah. But we loved it so much. It was so hot. Yeah.
It's always so hot.
It is. But it was so fun. And that community, you wouldn't have known that none of us knew each other before we got there. By the next day, it wasn't by the end of the Freddys. It was by the next day we already looked. Yeah. And that work ethic, that community and relationship building, those are qualities that pay off in every and any job that anyone will take.
Mm-hmm. It's hard to be excellent. It's hard. And that's a good lesson to learn in life. And a lot of people don't learn it anymore. People want things quickly and easily. I sound like an old, hag saying that, but no, but it's true though. It is true though. And kids tell me that all the time, send me emails and talk about how much work it was, but how it paid off and how much fun it turned out to be. So it's a great experience. And it's the most important thing that I think that we do at the theater.
Shelley, my last question is, do you have any quotes or mantras that you find yourself saying a lot? And you just said one that was so good that it is hard to be excellent. And I love that. But is there anything else that you wanted to leave us with?
I think you were probably too young to remember, but there was a political campaign. Bill Clinton's political campaign was, the mantra they had was, it's the economy, stupid, focus on the economy. And with the theater, when I took over, it was a mess. And I just kept saying, it's the theater, not stupid. It's the theater. It's the theater. It's the theater. Focus on what the theater is. And in terms of the community understanding, it's the theater, that can be it can be, when I meet with people who want to do things there, I always say to them, what's the one thing that you want people to come away with from this event or this show, or what's the one thing? Because we tend to be very broad strokes about everything. That's what I was getting at, I guess, is just, it's very helpful to be able to focus in life and in work about what's the one thing I want to leave people with. What's the one goal, the easy or the main thing? Because people usually have 10 things they want to accomplish, but what's the one thing? And also, my very favorite is just it's overdone now, but I've always said it about the theater. And one of the ways we worked so hard to build things was purpose and kindness, those two things. And they are never, ever wasted. Always the most important thing about anything, purpose and kindness. People need both. And we have to remember that.
Well, you have absolutely brought that to the state and the community. And Shelley, thank you so much. And we can follow the state on all social media at State Theater with an R-E.
R-E, the
right?
fancy way.
Yes.
No, .org. State Theater.
.org for the website. And then on social media at State Theater PA. Okay.
Yep. Thanks, Katie.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Having this time with you.
Oh, I so appreciate it.
And what kind of puppy did you get?
Oh, we think she's a golden and Jack Russell mix.
Oh boy, a Jack Russell. Oh boy. I always, they're smarter than we are.
She is proving that for sure. She's got the warmth and the face of a golden, but she definitely has those aspects of a Jack Russell. And you also got a puppy. What kind?
English Bulldog and Beagle.
Oh,
And
that must be cute.
She's adorable. We always had bulldogs, and they have so many health problems. So we thought, well, a Beagle Bulldog will be easier.
No.
The nose, you know, she's very smart and very fast. And, but she's fabulous, of course.
They do bring a lot of love to your life, don't they?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. A lot of activity, but yes. I can't wait to meet him, her, your dog.
Her, yes, Olive. Mm-hmm.
Olive.
Her.
Well, give Olive a hug for me, and a hug to you, honey. And thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks so much for listening to Be the Good with Kate Chericello. Whether you're listening on YouTube or via podcast, it would mean the world if you liked, subscribed, and or left a review. You heard about the good? Now go out and be the good in your life this week. If you have stories of good news that need to be shared, please send me a message. Thanks again, and have a great week.